Jordan Poole's performance tonight, but what did you think of just the young guys' composure on such a big stage?
Yeah, I mean, he was great. Technically his first playoff game, but our 2 play-in games last year sure felt like playoff games. So he played great in those 2 games. So that's kind of what we expected. He's not afraid of the moment, and he was looking forward to it. He works every day to prepare, and he had a great game.
You set it up to have that closing group when you put Jordan in with Steph, Clay, Draymond, and Wiggins. Obviously, that turned the entire game. Was that the plan? And that is your closing lineup. And what does it do when you have all those guys in together?
Well, I think you get a lot of floor spacing. You get 2 playmakers with Steph and Jordan, and you get Draymond at the 5 where he's most effective, and so he can do his thing in terms of DHOs and being a great screener, diving into the pocket, catching the ball, playmaking himself. So it's a good lineup. It's kind of what we've always done here, depending on personnel, but going to Draymond at the 5 and trying to spread the floor. So it's fun to see it. I think it's the first time we've been able to get to that lineup all year. I may be wrong, but we haven't done it often, that's for sure, because of injuries.
Steve, the defense on Jokic with Draymond and Kavan and even Steph helping out and others, how important was that, and how much did you like that effort?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a phenomenal player. You have to just be as solid as possible. I thought we, for the most part, took away the back cuts. He's such a brilliant passer. When you play these guys, you've got to take something away. If he's dicing you up, with back cuts, and he's getting to the foul line, he's making threes, he's impossible to guard. So I think, you look at his numbers, 25, 10, and 6. I mean, he's the MVP for a reason. Brilliant player. But we did our best on him, and we know he's coming back for game 2, and it's going to be a lot harder.
He only had 2 free throw attempts. What's the key to your guys defending him physically, but they didn't foul him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, Loon and Draymond are great post defenders. They understand how to guard without fouling. Belly did a good job on him. A few possessions. He knows him well. We had a couple of guys on him as well. Andre, Otto, everybody who was out there, I think, understood the value of doing your best without fouling, and then the guards not getting beat on back cuts. And so we did a good job of that, and that's got to continue.
Not starting Steph, was that similar to with Clay before, that you didn't want the long break in between?
Yes. Yeah.
And then how hard is it going to be to get Jordan Poole out of that starting lineup?
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Steve, how did Steph come out in terms of, he played 22 minutes, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Any issues at all?
Nope. Feeling good. I liked the way he approached the game. I think his first stint, he didn't even shoot. Took care of the ball, had a couple of assists, just got his feet wet, and then kind of found his rhythm as the game went on. So it was a really good first game back for him, and this will help kind of set the table for what's coming.
And how would you describe the process that allowed the vets to become comfortable with Jordan having the ball at big moments like this?
What was the process that? What?
Yeah, the process that allowed the veterans to become comfortable with Jordan having the ball and not Steph.
Just because of the way Jordan has played all season long. He's earned the respect and the trust of his teammates, and they believe in him, and they see what he's done all year. And so there's no hesitation to put the ball in his hands.
Steve, following up on your note about Jordan and the playing games, did you consider those as kind of turning points that gave you comfort he would be ready for the big stage, or were those moments even earlier? How do you look at that overall?
I mean, he had a great season a year ago, particularly the second half of the season. And then, those are basically playoff games. he performed at a really high level. So just having that in my memory and in his experience, it was pretty obvious he was not going to be shy tonight, and he was fantastic.
Was 22 minutes about what you expected for Steph? Was 22 minutes like about what you expected for Steph tonight?
Yeah, I mean, given that he's not starting, somewhere in there, he could have played more, but it was, I think, a good starting point.
We've talked a lot about that 3-guard lineup, and tonight we finally saw a pretty hefty dose of it. What did you think of the way that Steph, Clay, and Jordan played together, and then that small ball lineup to close?
I thought they were great. I mean, Clay had a big night shooting the ball. Obviously, Jordan, Andrew Wiggins was fantastic tonight. His defense, his rebound, he had 9 boards. He attacked the rim, 6 for 11, but, had a couple right at the rim that didn't quite fall. Got to the foul line. I thought Wiggs was tremendous. So he's a really nice complement to those other guys, because there's a lot of open floor for Wiggs to attack when Jordan, Steph, and Clay are out there with him.
41-35 in rebounding to you guys, including, I think you had one more offensive rebound than them. How big is that factor, considering how you want to play against them fast and small?
Yeah, it's a good stat for us. If you just want to make sure the possession game, it is either in your favor or even. It's hard to win playoff games if you're giving the other team an extra 8 or 10 possessions. So you got to take care of the ball, which we did, and you've got to rebound. So we did both things well. But in my experience in the NBA, game 2 after a comfortable win in game 1 is always a tough endeavor. So we know what's coming. Denver has had a lot of success in the playoffs the last few years. Got a lot of experience, well coached.
One turnover in the quarter. Get the ball to Draymond.
Good start for us, but we got to be on our toes, on edge for Monday.
You touched on Draymond's defense, but you guys also went 9 of 14 off of his passes. Yesterday, Michael Malone told me that he felt Draymond's absence was a big reason why they went 3-1 on you guys in the regular season. Was tonight just an example of how overall Draymond impacts the game, especially going up such a talented big man like Jokic?
Yeah, I mean, Draymond's a Hall of Famer. He's a 2-time Olympic champion. I don't know how many times he's made the All-Star team, an awful lot. He's been Defensive Player of the Year. He's one of the best players in the league. So tonight he showed why.
Steve, we see the fire that Draymond plays with. How do you assess his ability to strategically or tactically approach something? Whether it's Anthony Davis from years ago or Tristan Thompson, now it's Jokic. How does he lock in mentally for these matchups?
What makes him great is his competitiveness. He's obviously incredibly smart, and he's a skilled passer, but he's never going to be one of the most skilled offensive players in the league. But what he is as competitive as anybody I've ever been around, and as smart as anybody I've ever been around. So it's a pretty good combination when you're playing in the playoffs. You need smart and tough, and that's Draymond. So he locks in, and you don't want to be around him too much. He gets antsy, and he wants to play. These last 5 days were he was on edge, and I could feel it. We just needed to get to the game for his sake. He bounced into the gym today for our walkthrough, and all energy, all smiles, like it was finally game day. And that's what Draymond lives for.
Jordan Poole, he's just shooting something like 43% from 3 the last month and a half on like the highest volume in the league. Rookie year, he's 28% from 3. Last year, he's even low 30s. Did you see something like this coming? I mean, he's always had a good free throw stroke, but I mean, basically he's shooting Steph Curry levels the last month and a half.
Well, you watch him work and you see the skill set, you see the ability to shoot on and off the ball. His first 2 years in practice, he'd light it up, and then the first year especially, the game would start and he'd just be in a rush, and it's just typical, inexperience, and that's why it takes a couple of years for young guys to get the game to slow down, and so I'm not really that surprised at this streak. He's a great shooter. Free throw shooting is always a great indicator that if you're a great free throw shooter, you're generally a great shooter. And so for him, it's just been a matter of the game coming more easily to him from a speed standpoint. And so it's not surprising.
Steve, you already mentioned game 2 is a big step up in terms of intensity. Do you expect Steph Curry to still do you want to be cautious with him, or are you now emboldened to take the governor off of him as soon as possible? Or were you happy enough with tonight's results where you'd be comfortable bringing him off the bench again in game 2 just to be cautious? I didn't know that Steph had a governor. I haven't. Well, that's you and the medical staff. Yeah, Steph is Steph. He's done this a million times. It's so whatever the training staff says, we'll adapt accordingly. But I don't have to tell him anything like, hey, take it easy. I don't even talk to him about that. He's Steph Curry, so he's gonna do his thing. Great. Thanks.